Hello. Just waiting to see if people join. 11 o'clock, I think I'm officially on. There's no clock on this screen at all, so I'm not entirely sure what the time is. So just waiting to see if anybody's going to come on before I start my ramblings. Hello, if anybody's there, can you just say hi? Oh, hello, Kay. Morning. I'll just hang on a couple of minutes. Laura, hi Laura. Sean. Hi Sean. Good, I've got a little bit of a start. You always dread, don't you, sort of sitting doing a live and there's no one there. It's my kind of worst dread in the world. Hi. Oh, good stuff. Okay, so little talk about me and what I do. Oh, hey, Maya. I've seen you a little bit around on Facebook. Paul Watts. Okay, good. We've got a little bit of a following here. So I shall begin my rambles. At any point you need to ask me any questions, just put them up. I'll attempt to read it and attempt to answer any questions you have. If I can't answer, because I don't know everything, I really far from know everything. If I really can't answer, I'll just say, and that'll all be fine. So here we are, and I want to start a little chat about me first of all, and what I do. So I started Port of Fun dog training some 6-7 years ago now, with a Kennel Club listing, running Kennel Club Good Citizens scheme. At that point in time, my two daughters were in the Young Kennel Club, doing loads of good stuff with the Young Kennel Club. I just have to say that the Young Kennel Club is amazing for the kids. They were doing lots of stuff with that, and on YKC camps where we met lots of people. And all our dogs were doing Good Citizens scheme stuff. So we did meet on our travels a few people who were using, let's just call them old-fashioned techniques with training, which at that point in time myself and my daughters already knew better, because we'd worked with people clicker training, and we went from there on to compete with our dogs. Both of them had a dog each from the age of 8, rescue working sheepdog and a Shetland sheepdog. They went on to compete in agility and Hewitt's music as youngsters in events that were specifically aimed at youngsters, so they weren't always competing against adults, which was amazing for them. And they grew up training their own dogs, walking their own dogs, and all that. So anyway, there's a big massive thing for the Young Kennel Club. I don't know that anyone else other than the Kennel Club has something like that where it's just kids. So a little bit about that. So I set up Pause for Fun with Kennel Club listing, and having a Kennel Club listing does attract a lot of people on its by itself, really. People like achieving the certificates, and I like doing it and teaching pet people how to train their dogs better. There's still a lot of aversive techniques about. In Norfolk here, there's a lot of gundoggery. Let's call it gundoggery. And that gundoggery tends to attract aversive techniques in itself. A few days ago, last week, I think it was, I was walking in the dog park and saw a gentleman there, let's say, I hazard a guess, in his late 60s, something like that, with a little spaniel who, the little spaniel had wandered off into a hedge, and he went, snatched it up, shook it, shouted in its face, and put it down on the floor, saying stuff like "bad dog." I was horrified. I haven't seen anything like that in years. So anyway, I was horrified. I was so gobsmacked, and there were two of them, and I was on my own, so I don't tend to want to go up to them and start telling them they're all wrong and everything, because they don't listen. So anyway, I'm still horrified. I think about that episode daily, but there is absolutely nothing you can do about it other than be a positive force-free trainer and try and educate the masses. So eventually it filters down through from us to our children and our children's children, etc. So eventually we don't get to see so much of that. So anyway, after that little episode, that gentleman, he's not a gentleman, is he really, got his dog to do heel work for a few minutes. I couldn't see the point in that, but it's not my dog. Anyway, those are my thoughts on that. Still a lot of gun doggery around, especially in the countryside where people are using aversive techniques. I only have to look out my windows and see people with their dogs using slip leads and choke chains, with their dogs pulling and then yanking them. It's horrific. Still lots of it about. So anyway, let's all of us just educate and educate. So eventually this form of human behaviour stops a bit, really. So I've had a good rant on my soapbox there. So the Kennel Club stuff I still do. The Good Citizen Scheme classes, when we get back up and running, it attracts quite a few people, and I'm A-list examiner, so I go to other clubs and examine. I tend to go to the clubs that I know, because I don't really want to go there and have to examine people whose dogs are on check chains and stuff, because I'll just cringe. So I go to clubs that I know to examine, because I don't want to see the stuff I don't want to see, because it's not my class, they're not my students, and there's nothing I can do about it other than, have a rant. So what are we doing now? So that's a bit about Kennel Club, Good Citizen Scheme, which I still promote despite there being lots of other things about now which people can get certificates for. Another thing I like about Good Citizen Scheme is because you can go to gold level, and I think they're developing something higher than the gold level now. So it's not just puppy classes. I don't do just puppy classes. I'll do the bronze, silver and gold classes. So I like, have Casey not banned chokes in Good Citizen Scheme? No, they haven't banned chokes at all. So I have a ban on them in my classes because that's me. They haven't banned them. You'll see little, let's call them check chains, because that's what I call them. You'll see check chains in show dogs a lot. You'll see in the show ring people, they look like they're hanging their dog, don't they? Show people with their dog with their arms up here and their lead up and the dog's head up, and they look like they're virtually hanging their dogs. I think it's just awful, but I've never done dog showing. They need to update. They do need to update their standards, but they're let's just call it they're stuck in their old ways, a lot of it, and it'll take a long time before they gradually filter through. Take a long time, stuck in their ways. They are getting a little bit better, the KC, with crufts and stuff, so it's just a tiny little bit every year, I think, possibly. Oh man, I hate that O. Yeah, the show people. And I've never had a show dog. I've had one well-bred dog in pedigree dog ever. No, I just lied. I've had two. I had a Dalmatian, a well-bred Dalmatian, as a family pet. She did obedience and she did agility not very well. Not really a dog suitable for agility particularly. She was a great family dog, a real soppy thing. We have our Sheltie, who's 14 now. It was showbred, was my daughter's agility dog. He did really well. Yeah, you do. Yeah, I've started a thing now with hanging dogs, so I'm trying to change the subject. You don't need to hang a dog to show it. No, you really don't. It's horrible to watch, and I hate watching the breed shows because I hate looking at it. I hate seeing the dogs being hung. I made my lead because I couldn't find one and had to focus just on my dog. Yeah. Okay, so we can't get away from all the show dogs and crufts and stuff. I never watch the show dogs, and I don't do show dogs myself. No, they don't, Jen. They don't. They really don't. So, okay, our Sheltie was well bred, and we just did agility and Hewitt's music with him. He was bred locally here in Norwich by show breeders. So other dogs that I've got here are a Dogs Trust working sheepdog, and another working sheepdog that I was gifted was not well bred, and a Sheltie cross collie that was well bred as a purpose cross, if you want to call it a designer cross, but not one of those really popular designer crosses, bred for dog sports. The Sheltie Collie, and I do have rescue dogs, but I like occasionally to get a dog from a puppy, a dog that doesn't have, you don't have to spend months going backwards before you can go forwards. So yeah, I have a mix of dogs that I've had from a puppy and rescue dogs, and I'll always keep that mixture going. So I've recently started a little thing recently that I'm doing a Facebook group dedicated to collies. That's called Collie College. If you want to search for it, it's Collie College Dog Training, and I'm going to be focusing on collie type problems and how to work with them, and using my dog sports background which is really, my dog sports background is, it really does have a lot of collies in. So agility, flyball, Hewitt's music has a lot of collies in. Some of them are rescue and some of them were bought from breeders. Poppy, we used to have a working sheepdog which we called Fern, another Dogs Trust dog, and Poppy here. So, and all of the collie groups that I belong to often have similar problems with lots of nipping, which is obviously a collie problem, people not knowing what to do about it, people buying working sheepdogs off of farms cheap, failed working sheepdogs off of farms cheap, and expecting them to be a family pet. Should have bought a Lhasa Apso or something like that. Instead, they didn't do their research, and they think that collies are easy to train because they see so many collies doing lots of clever stuff on the telly. So instead of buying the Lhasa Apso that they should have bought, they're getting themselves a collie. This is pet people. I'm not talking here about people who know what they're doing, because people who know what they're doing is obviously will have researched what they're buying. But I get a few messages and referrals from people who are not coping with the dog that they bought, because the dog that they bought was a working sheepdog off a farm, and they have no idea what they bought. They didn't research it. It's quite often the farms sell them off quite cheap, the failed working sheepdogs, but that failed working sheepdog will still herd their kids, herd them, nip their kids, lots of other issues that your normal pet owner is really struggling with. So I'm starting Collie College, which is all online, and we'll be addressing all of these collie type issues, and hopefully helping some of them to get a better life than what they've got at the moment, by educating the people who bought them that their dog needs more than they thought they were going to need. They look dead cute, don't they, puppies? Personally, I think, this is my personal thing, obviously, that collies are just the cutest things. I really love Shelties as well, but I like all dogs. And when I'm training the Good Citizen Scheme classes, I have all dogs there. I got my working line collie from a farm as a puppy for £100 when I was 15. So glad he turned out okay now 5 years later. Well done, Charlotte. That's not always the case, as I'm sure you know. As you just said, £100, you know, they are often sold very cheaply. You know, maybe they'll be £1,000 now, as opposed to some other breeds which are going for 3,000 odd. So I came close to getting a puppy recently that was a border collie, pedigree border collie, that was £500. So, but she would have only sold it to someone who was going to work with it. Collie puppies are just the cutest. Yes, they are. They're just the cutest. But you know, I'm very biased. So I've worked a lot with collies and collie crosses and rescue collie crosses, and because I compete in dog sports and I'm used to how collies think and the amount of brain work that they need to do, a lot of people seem to, there's these ball chucker things, isn't it? Now, yes, I have a ball chucker and I do throw my dogs a ball and they really love it, but we have sniffing and walking and peeing, and obviously pooing as well. Sniffing, walking, peeing, pooing, and then 5 minutes of ball throwing, and then cool back down again with sniffing, walking, peeing. I don't get the dog out of the car, chuck a ball about, stick the dog back in the car, which is what a lot of people do, especially if they think they've got a dog that needs a run. My dog needs a run. What they end up with is a properly fit and properly fired up collie. Little thing I wanted to talk about, almost to practice myself talking about this, is there a difference between a border collie and a working sheepdog? Is there? So I've been doing a little bit of research myself, just to see what Google says, etc. Because working sheepdogs have a register, International Sheepdog Society register. And working sheepdogs are, yes, it can be get rid of the ball. I like to do a bit of lots of things with my dogs. They like to run and they also like to sniff, and they also like to just go about peeing here and peeing there and peeing there. And I also like to go on walks around places I've not walked before, so that we can all look at things that are completely different. We saw some cows last Sunday. We sat quite near some cows, and get the dogs to concentrate on me. So, you know, lots of training in natural environments where you think that your collie might want to go and chase and herd up those cattle. In fact, they did want to, but they sat being quiet and said, get rid of the bull, yeah. But, you know, there's no harm in a little bit of mix. There's, you know, but some dogs, all you do if you keep throwing a ball with a ball chucker is they just get fitter, 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 fitter. And also the repetitive strain from those turns. The dogs will suffer in the long run from probably in their shoulders from those turns from fetching a ball back. But I do fly ball as well, which you might say, you know, you still got the repetitive strain. We're very serious about warming up and cooling down. We have on board a canine massage expert with the team, checks the dogs over. So sports dogs, a lot of the agility dogs as well, get looked over by sports therapists and so on to make sure that they're as fit as they can be. Working trials with them, yeah. I like working trials as well. But you see that big wall they have to climb? That's not easy, is it? Yeah, lots of sports dogs do need to be checked over if they're doing stuff the whole time by physios and massage therapists and so on. Most people I know who do a lot of dog sports do get their dogs checked over regularly, but by bilateral shoulder OCD, and we do low impact only. So yeah, my older working sheepdog Poppy now, who's 13, she came from Dogs Trust. She does scent work. Now she's really good at scent work. She's really good at obedience as well, and it's a different dog to the dog that I used to take at agility. Different dog because she doesn't hit that level of super excitement when she's doing obedience or scent work. She's really good at those things. So she's very healthy. She's done lots of dog sports all her life. She still runs around like a loony, and she's 13. But being a working sheepdog as opposed to a border collie, she's very light boned. So it's probably easy. It's like a little skinny fit person. Not got a load of extra weight to carry around or extra body mass, not necessarily just weight. So looking at your own structure and, you know, comparing it with dog structure and what is the dog suitable for. So, you know, you see some people, pet people, if you like, think I'm going to go and train my dog to do agility, and it's a chunky dog, and you think, no, that is, I think the postman's coming. Sid. A chunky dog jumping. I really hate seeing that. It may not be overweight particularly, but it's the breed probably not suitable for doing high jumping and stuff. People are having to do some sort of course, even a short online course, border collie husbandry. That would be really nice, you know, in an ideal world. You know, in an ideal world, I think dog owners should any dog owner should have to do a course. Any dog owner. I would suggest to anybody who might invent such a thing, that's something verging on Good Citizens Scheme bronze for a dog owner, dog license, you know, to have a dog license to keep a dog. That dog also has to have training, has to have minimum standard of Good Citizen Scheme bronze, or, yeah, I would use that as a standard, to be able to keep a dog, so that they've been taught the minimum basics of how to look after their dog. I think they do in Sweden. Yeah, that would be brilliant, absolutely brilliant, if people had to have a minimum standard and their dog was a minimum standard. So it had a basic recall. It had some basic loose lead walking without aversive training. People were educated a little bit on how to you know, look after them. I educate people on handling their dog. I educate people on, if they want to trim their dog's nails, how to do it, etc. Lots of little bits of stuff that I run through in classes with for the pet people on looking after their dogs. That would be amazing, but you know, imagine people being educated. It would be really good for me. I'd have loads and loads and loads of full classes. I wouldn't be able to manage, would I? But it would be brilliant. Whether that'll ever happen, I'd love it to. Nan B, what you say nope to? Oh, okay, so anyway, we're going to go past that. Collies, I was going to say, difference between a border collie and a working sheepdog before I diversified there. So when I looked up on Google, because I'm doing some research myself, apparently there is no difference. Myself, I know there is, because I know that my working sheepdog would not be an acceptable exhibit at Crufts. And yet 99% of Joe blogs would call her a border collie. And there is a lot of difference between a border collie and a working sheepdog. And that doesn't help the situation when Joe Blogs goes out there to the farm and buys what they think is a border collie that isn't. It's a working sheepdog. Its parents or it may be on the working sheepdog register. And I had someone say to me, oh, it's a pedigree. They wanted to rehome it. It was 4 or 5 months old. Kind of quite typical, really. Bought it from a farm, you know, £1,000 instead of £3,000. Brought it home, couldn't cope with it. By the time it's 5 months old, they're looking to rehome it because it's too much for them. Should have bought a Shih Tzu. Should have bought a Shih Tzu sort of people. So this dog needed to be rehomed, and I was contacted if I knew anyone in dog sports world who might want that dog. Anyway, the story ended well because the dog was rehomed into an agility home. I think the lady got some money back. The farm people would not take the dog back, because one thing I always say, if the people can't cope, is have you asked the breeder if they'll take it back. So they asked the breeder, and the breeder was not interested in taking it back, which I always think is really sad. They sold the dog to the wrong person, and yeah, the wrong type of person for that dog. But people don't research what they're buying, and they, you know, we just decide on that day to do something, don't we? And we go ahead and do it. You know, we don't research what it is. So they bought a working sheepdog. There's Welsh collies as well, Welsh sheepdogs. And a Welsh sheepdog would never be at Crufts in the border collie ring. So reputable breeder should always take the dog back. But she bought the dog off a farm. She didn't buy it off a reputable breeder. She didn't know she was not buying off a reputable breeder because she didn't do her homework. As people don't do their homework, do they? You know. So, wrong dog for the person. I've seen it loads and loads of times. Wrong dog for the person. Didn't research, bought the wrong dog. Quite often, they think they bought a border collie, and actually what they bought is a working sheepdog. So, even though a border collie can herd sheep, it's a different structure of a dog and a tamer version, if you like. Genetics are bred to have a calmer working sheepdog, a calmer collie that can be taken into the show ring and bred more show dogs from. So I don't want to diss the border collie breeders here at all. I'm really, really not here to do that, because border collie breeders who breed well will take the dog back, will only let the right people have the dog. The ones that I know anyway, they'll have dogs back. They'll not let the wrong person have the dog. They'll have a waiting list for their puppies. If you want a border collie, that's the person to buy from, is the one with a waiting list, where you have to be patient, because all the health tests will have been done. recently there's been a big thing. This was in Norfolk, where I am, that there was epilepsy, really strong epilepsy in one of the lines, and this upset a lot of people, and there's still a lot of ranting goes on about that. So not all border collie breeders are incredibly scrupulous. You're always going to get one, you know, who's a bit like, oh dear, and bred knowingly with epilepsy in their lines, which is a shame. So I don't think they breed anymore. I really hope they don't. They were dissed all over the place about their breeding these dogs with epilepsy. So it's a big thing to be careful of, and I think the border collie breeders are being careful of that particularly as well. Happens often, sadly. Yeah, Kate. So yeah, it's really sad about the epilepsy. So I've been lucky with my dogs, even my red tri Tia, who was gifted to me, that I haven't had any health issues with any of them ever. They are quite a sturdy breed. If the majority of the time, you know, they don't have huge problems. They have eye problems and they have hip dysplasia problems. If you're buying a pedigree collie, all of that all the health tests will have been done. And how old are my dogs? Charlotte. Okay, so I just keep looking at the screen. How old are my dogs? So the Sheltie that belongs to my daughter is 14. He's in his 15th year. He's very capable still, and the odd sort of tummy upset, he can't be allowed to eat anything that's out of the ordinary because his tummy does struggle a little bit. He's always had a tendency with that. So the well-bred Sheltie is 14. The working sheepdog Poppy, black tri, Dogs Trust is in her 13th year this year. You wouldn't know it. She's a nutter. She's always been a nutter. I spent a lot of time in the early days with finding the elusive off switch and doing a lot of work with her with a lot of dog sports. So the Dogs Trust lied. That was my first real experience of living with a dog that wants to chase cars. So the car chasing collies was something I discovered and had to work with Poppy, and that was a hell of a job. So you know, it's a shepherd problem, not just a border collie problem, a shepherd problem. I got her through her Good Citizen scheme and her gold level as well, so she knows a lot more about cars than what she did when I got her. But the Dogs Trust told me when I got her that she watches cars. So they didn't really tell me the full story, which is a shame, and I've heard that sort of thing quite a bit, the rescues not telling people the full story of what to expect from the dog. But they did know that Poppy was going to be going into a working home, but she was my first full collie. So that's Poppy, and she's, what did I say, she's 13 this year. So Poppy, oh yeah, another problem with my pup developed. He doesn't do it anymore, but we walk along. Yeah, so you know, the car chasing is a thing, which I'm going to be addressing in Collie College a lot. There's lots of collie issues with the nipping and the car chasing, etc. So we got beyond it, and we got our Good Citizens Gold, which people who know that sort of thing know that we had to walk loosely next to traffic to gain that. You have to gain that in silver as well. So that's Poppy. In the early days, she had me over a few times, so it was interesting. But we're there. We get caught out the odd time with a little bit, but nothing like how it was. So that's Poppy, and I've got a Sheltie Collie Cross who's 3 this year. He was bred as a sports dog by someone who has both parents. No, I lie there. Someone who has the mother and another agility person had the father. So there are quite a few Sheltie collies being bred now for dog sports. His name's Jive. He'll be doing Hewitt music with me, and he loves doing trick training, and he also loves doing flyball. He's a lovely little dog, well bred, super friendly. Massive difference between getting a dog that's well bred, homebred, by knowledgeable people than getting a second-hand rescue dog. Obviously, they haven't had the early socialization. The rescue dogs, most of the time, the ones that have been the working sheepdogs that have been brought up on a farm, have been in a shed, haven't they, on sawdust and stuff. So, you know, they miss out a lot on early socialization if the working sheepdog has been in a shed on sawdust. And Joe Public, again, that's something they don't realise. They don't even think about it. The homebred puppy, generally speaking, I'm generalising here, it is way better, has had a way better start. That's where some of the money goes, that they're paying for a better bred puppy than one off a farm. So just drink now a minute, actually, because I'm losing my voice. So those of you that have collies, I'd be very grateful if you'd have a look at Collie College dog training. Just started it last week, actually, and growing audience at the minute. It's a new little baby. So that new little baby, I've been doing, I've got dog training qualifications, and I decided to get behaviourist qualifications. So I'm working towards online course, so ISCP behaviourist qualifications, which International School of Canine Psychology. That's a lot to say, isn't it? Get my mouth round. So that's what I'm doing. There are loads of courses that you can do. Lots of research. Took me ages to decide on which one to do. Lots and lots of research. Loads of people providing these courses, and what the difference is with the certificate that you get at the end. Oh, Collie College. Sorry. Collie College at the moment is a Facebook group. Charlotte, it's a Facebook group. Off the back of the Facebook group, when I've developed the audience a lot more, bearing in mind it's aimed at pet people who are struggling as opposed to experienced dog trainers and that. It's going to be having mini courses for people that are struggling with certain things off the back of it, mini courses that will be sold as mini courses for addressing collie type problems. So all that will come up as so the Facebook group Collie College, and then I'll be selling little mini courses off of the Facebook group in a little tiny private group, if that makes any sense. Finding it quite hard now after talking for ages to get my mouth around things. Anybody, I can't see on here what the time is. Can anybody tell me what the time is? Sounds great for pet parents. It is, Charlotte. It's for pet parents of border collies, working sheepdogs. Yes, you can join, Jen Smith. I'd love you to join. As many people could join as possible. Oh, 10:35. It's not 10:35. It can't be 10:35 because I didn't start till 11. I don't think. My brain's gone to mush now. So, as many people who can join Collie College, the better. If that works for you, yeah. But on the whole, it's aimed at collie pet owners that need to be a little bit more educated about the dog in front of them. You've joined. Yes, you have, Maya. That's where I recognise your name from. Good. It's a little bit quiet there at the moment, but it will gradually get busier, and I will turn Collie College into a private group when I get the number of people there, and I will be addressing collie issues in little mini courses. That's the whole general plan of it all. I'm doing lots of work at the moment, having a new website built, doing the behaviourist BSc animal behaviour student. Good, working towards becoming a trainer. But I will join the group and support you. Thank you, Charlotte. Don't know. I don't imagine for 1 minute I'll ever get as far as doing a BSc, doing the level 5 behaviourist course that I'm doing at the moment. Never say never. Possibly, I may do the level 6 afterwards. I can't imagine for 1 minute that I'm going to do a BSc at all. All credit to you, Charlotte. That's amazing. But I'm probably at the wrong point in my life to go off to university. That's probably not for me. If I do, I think Lincoln do BSc is mainly focused on wild animals, not much domestic animal training, unfortunately, but sets me up. Charlotte, I do clicker training, and I try and teach my pet owners, although it's very difficult, some of them anyway, try and teach my pet owners never say never, how to use a clicker. I've always done clicker training. I was taught it way back when, so I know a lot about clicker training, shaping. That's how I do my trick training. That's how I do the Hear What's Music and freestyle. So I've read in the past, a lot of Karen Pryor stuff, and clicker training really is my thing, which I'm trying to pass on that knowledge to pet people as much as I can, those of them that will listen. If not, then they'll be using a marker word instead of a clicker. And what made me bring that up was the number of animals that can be trained with a clicker. I've heard of lots of different animals. The zoo animals now get trained with clickers to be handled and stuff, don't they? To provide their keepers with a hoof, etc. So clicker training is great for a lot of different animals. The Karen Pryor stuff. You can watch horses being trained with clickers and goats, and it'd be quite interesting actually about having the reptiles there trained with clickers to do certain things. So I think have a lot of fun. I've never tried it. Chickens, that's exactly what I was thinking, Kay. Chickens, I'd love to train a chicken, with a clicker. So lots of animals can be trained with a clicker, and everything I do with my dogs is clicker based. Scent work with their indication, it's clicker training. Very, very good for me for technical stuff that I'd never have managed to teach my dogs without a clicker. It's hard, they're so quick. The chickens are quick, yeah. I think that would be really good fun, but I don't have any chickens. I just have 5 dogs, which is quite a lot to look after, especially intelligent dogs. Oh, I forgot to tell you that I have a Romanian street dog as well. His name's Sid. He's 10. He was taught to do a whole agility course, which he loved going to training and still loves doing training. Very, very attentive with training because he does everything for the food. But he didn't like competing because he hated being somewhere different. He hated the judge wearing a hat. He hated the judge with a stick. If he saw someone he thought was his friend on on the side, he'd just bugger off and say, hi friend, you know. So it wasn't his thing, agility. He's a little, let's call him a Mongol, kind of large Chihuahua sized little dog. So it was quite interesting having a Romanian street dog in my life, and I learned a lot from that. Very, very food driven, not what I'm used to, because he doesn't really play tuggy and that as a reward. What age is too old to get into sports like agility? I don't know that there is too old at all. I don't know that there is. The thing with agility now, I don't want to put a dampener on this. The thing that with agility now in the competition thing is the courses are massive, and people that do well at it can run like hell. You know, they're young, slim, and run like hell. But having said that, there's lots of fun competitions that you can do. You don't have to compete to crafts level, etc. It's fantastic for your dog to learn this. Fantastic enrichment. It gives you something to focus on. I can't do agility. I haven't been able to do it for a few years because I have a back problem that I'm not able to bend or run very well. My running is just ridiculous, and I tend to protect my back, so I look stupid when I run. I can't run properly. Anyway, there's also hoopers now, which is very similar to agility. It's a form of agility where the dogs don't have to jump. So they're directed around these hoops in different directions, so the dogs are not jumping. So you get a dog like a Dachshund can do hoopers. A lot of people, hoopers is really good. You love hoopers, main sport. So hoopers is really good for distance handling. Yeah, you can teach the dogs to go around a course with you barely moving. Yeah, and you have Dachshunds doing hoopers. You can have giant breeds doing hoopers, as long as they can actually fit under the hoop, I suppose. Hoops are quite big. So distance handling for people who can't run. One of my collies does some hoopers. Shoulders OCD, yeah, hoopers is great. Scent work is great for dogs, older dogs, or dogs with joint issues and so on. Scent work. I'm going to be doing my man trailing instructor course soon. So man trailing is really good. Disabled handlers, hoopers is great for me. I've seen a really cool agility handler going around the course on her specialist motorized wheelchair. Yeah, really, really good. So disabled people are not stopped from doing agility at all. Someone was really horrible about this disabled handler one day and said that she shouldn't be. She had a massive plus on her side because she has this really cool motorized wheelchair. People are mean, aren't they, really? It's just ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, hoopers is getting more and more popular, and I think it's brilliant. My working sheepdog, the red tri, who's now 10, is really good at distance. That is really rude, yeah. So, but people are just cruel, aren't they? People are cruel. So hoopers is great. My 10, 11 this year, working sheepdog, which I didn't tell you about, another one of my dogs, so I've got 5 altogether. That's Tia, whose favourite thing is freestyle. I say it's her favourite thing because you really need to see her face when she's competing. There's just a grin from ear to ear. She loves doing her high trot. It's just happiness when you see her do it, and it makes me smile so much as well. So my red tri does hear what's music, loves doing hoopers. I'm not going to put her back to agility because I can't do it. But there's loads of stuff you can do, and lots of dog sports now. It seems like there's a new one every couple of years. I don't know where it's going. But you've now got man trailing, That's taking off here. You've got scent work, which is really taken off as well. Hoopers, which is really taken off. All of those things, three things, have come about relatively recently in the past few years as new dog sports. So you don't have to just, everybody says to me, oh, you've got collies, do you do agility? Really, like, because I've got collies and I'm a dog trainer, that I have to do agility, and they don't realise that there's all these different other dog sports. Some dog people can be horrible. They can be horrible. You know, in agility world, I've seen dogs who didn't do as well in the ring as their handler would have liked them to do, or wasn't listening, or whatever it was, and they take the dog back and put it straight back in the car. It's had no reward or anything. You are so on the money there. When I first entered the dog world 2 years ago, I really felt this nasty attitude. So yeah, it's still there. I don't get involved with people like that. I've had the mudslingers at me, you know, and I'm just not the top handler in the world. Canicross, is another thing that's going to get more and more popular. It used to be just people who had huskies, and there's a lot more people doing canicross with dogs other than Malamutes and huskies now. People who run, one of our flyball people runs with her working cocker, and she really enjoys that. There's another thing that's similar to the working sheepdog border collie thing is people buy a working cocker and they think they've bought a cocker spaniel because they hadn't researched the background of that breed. They don't realise there's a working cocker separate to a show cocker, same as the collies. Also, I think you've got retrievers who have working strain and non-working strain. Labradors, you have working strain, pets stroke show strain, and Joe Public doesn't know that they bought a working bred Labrador. They just know they bought a Labrador. So going to get my collie into pulling a sled and things when we are living in Minnesota. He loves running and pulling. Yeah. I cycle with my collies sometimes. What is scooter touring? Yeah, it's a scooter touring. It's you can buy special scooters. The dog's attached to the front almost like a sled. So you learn mushing. You can use scooters, you can use bicycles, or you can run. It's all mushing stuff. And the dogs have to learn directions to go straight on. They have to learn to ignore any wildlife that might appear. So it's quite a good thing. You have to have a fit dog to do those sort of dog sports. I know people who have the Malamutes for sledding, and I don't know how many dogs they've got, about 12, you know, because they've got the puppy section, and then they've got the ones that are working, and then they've got the retired bunch. So if you end up getting really into sledding and stuff, you'll end up with a dozen dogs quite easily. So scooter touring and bike jawing, I think it's called J-O-R, not J-U-R, but you know, I'm not saying I'm all right. I'm not sure about your all-terrain wheelchair, and I'm really not sure. What I would consider as if you were when you were going around a corner, if you tipped. Risk assessment wise, because us trainers, we have to do all that risk assessment wise. I wouldn't like you to be in the middle of a forest having tipped out of it and no one there to rescue. Tipped out of it at high speed. So whilst I don't want to tell you this is going to happen, you need to think about the vehicle that you're using. You can probably get something adapted, because as I said to you, that lady who had the special wheelchair for her dog agility. So you could probably get a specialist vehicle for mushing with your dogs. Yeah, if you're disabled. because I know someone, as I say, who's going around an agility course pretty fast with her specialist wheelchair, and she wasn't tipping out. So check the vehicle that you're using and have something adapted if you're going to do that. So I've cycled with my dogs, but because my collies aren't pullers, they won't pull me along. Because I taught them loosely the whole time, and if I wanted to switch their job to pulling me, I could if I put the time into it, but I don't think that's not me as a dog sport particularly. So yeah, they won't pull me. So yeah, a dog you need for mushing, you need a dog that is going to pull you, because you need it out in front of you, pulling you along a little bit. Bike drawing, scooter drawing, you can find out quite a lot about that on the internet. So I'm diversifying a bit. Can someone tell me what the time is? I'm only supposed to be here for an hour. There'll be someone waiting. So I need it to be sort of 12 o'clock. Oh, yeah, that's good, Charlotte. Can pull or loosely, that's ideal. Unfortunately, I've never taught my dogs to pull because it's not been important to me, but good. Okay, so I'm gonna get off now. I've got the time wrong that I'm supposed to be here. I came on at 10 instead of 11, so I'm really sorry I messed that up for someone. Oh, I got too excited and came on at 10. I was supposed to be on at 11. So I hope the person who was on at 10 is now on at 11, and I'm going to apologise profusely to that person who's I stepped in. Oops. So really sorry about that. I stepped in at the wrong time. Supposed to be here at 11 and I got on at 10. Oops. I got really excited this morning and enjoying being here and listening to you. Yeah, stupid, eh? Typical. You're welcome, Charlotte, and I hope I've answered some questions. Anybody got any last things to ask before I go? Oh, gonna get off here. Collie College, anyway. My main business for many years has been Paws for Fun, doing pet dog obedience and some hoopers, and it's aimed at all breeds, pet dog training, teaching people from scratch. So that's Paws for Fun, and a little niche market is going to be helping collies. I'm going to sponsor one of the local rescue. Doesn't matter too much. Joined your page. Oh, good. Sorry, I jumped in someone's slot. Oops, whoopsie. What was I on about just then? Anyway, sorry, I've been speaking. Anybody who wants to ask me anything else, please go ahead and look at Paws for Fun or Collie College. Happy to help there. I've sponsored a rescue dog from Faith, a collie, through the Collie College program because they need help. So I will help one or two rescue dogs when I can. It's a bit like giving back, isn't it? So I do help when I can. So I'm going now, and I'm really sorry about jumping on in your slot. Bit stupid really, but hope you know a little bit more about it. And I'm going now. Go and have a cup of tea. Thanks very much. Bye bye.